Good evening, guys. Hi, how you doing? Just quickly, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Liam, and together with Stam, who a lot of you would have met as well, we've been shooting weddings all over the world for the last nearly 10 years now and help transform photographers into masters of their craft and six-figure creative entrepreneurs. So before we start this, if you'd like to join our free Facebook group and community, there will be a link in the description where you can do that. So we look forward to welcoming you guys in there if you're not already members. For those of you that are a bit more regular, then good evening or good morning, depending on where you are. It's evening for us in Thailand, and we're up in Bangkok this week, just doing some visa stuff, but also been creating some very cool training content for our members inside the Photographers Collective, which is our signature program. Doing some documentary stuff out on the streets and with some of the Thai monks in the Grand Palace. So it's been a pretty exciting week for us, which is really cool. Anyway, let's move on. So for today's live, I'm going to be discussing two big misconceptions that I hear really often with photographers, and actually spoke to one of our members last week about it in a live Q&A that we did. And yeah, two big misconceptions that us photographers have when it comes to our website, and just want to share three reasons that it's still really important in 2020 to have one, and what it's basically used for. Took us a long time to work this out, so we used to get very little traction from our website, but some of these things have really helped us. So just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully you can get some similar results from it. So most struggling photographers often hold the belief that their website is for showcasing their work. And whilst that is true to some extent, it's actually not the main reason to have one. Building your website with that belief is definitely going to result in lost bookings, or certainly lost inquiries when people arrive at the website. So the second misconception, so the first thing is that the main reason we have it is for our portfolio, and that is important for sure, but I still don't think it's the main reason. The second one is that, and I discussed this specifically with one of our members, Luke, last week. He was asking about this, do we just need social media channels now in 2020? And everyone's on social media, and is that the way to get business? Well, it definitely is a great tool. I'll discuss in a little bit. But the main reason I would say no, it's not all that we need, is that we don't own Facebook or Instagram or any other channels that we're using. So we're kind of at the mercy of their algorithm and whims. So it's a great tool, but you can't build a sustainable business on a platform that you don't own. So it's quite high risk to do that. I don't personally know any, but if the earlier days of Instagram, where there was all these influencers that were getting paid work because of the amount of followers they had, and then the algorithm completely changed and it became about engagement, and they're probably all of their income dried up overnight. So I think that's a pretty good warning as to why you should be very wary of that, because they do just decide to change how they operate all the time, and we don't control that. So it's best to try to, for us anyway, we've just found it's a lot less stressful to try to keep as many things as we can with as much control as we can, so that we can actually move the needle ourselves and don't have to rely on huge companies to do it for us. So not going to be too long tonight, but there's three things that you can do that will help you generate more inquiries for your business through your website. These are three things that we've actually implemented, so they've helped us a lot, and yeah, hopefully can do the same for you guys. So the first thing is, I've written these three things down just so I can make sure I don't forget them, but the main thing is a call to action. As soon as people land on your website, if you look at our website, which is liamcollard.com, you'll see we've chosen to have an alert bar at the top, because I don't like pop-ups too much. They can be very effective, but I'm just not a big fan of them. Plus, they don't really work well on mobile, and most people look at our website on mobile. I can see from our analytics that most people check us out on mobile, so it needs to be mobile friendly. But basically, you only have a few seconds to get people's attention when they arrive at your website. Everyone is so distracted now There is so many people vying for our attention that when people do find our website because of a great blog post we've written or a really nice Instagram post that we've done and people want to find out a bit more, or whatever it is that you're generating traffic from, it needs to be really clear. And the phrase is above the fold. That means before people have to scroll anywhere, there should be a call to action on your website. And that should be the main thing or action you want people to take when they arrive at your website. Should be there immediately as soon as anyone lands on your website. And then you have a chance in the few seconds they're deciding whether there is any interest there for them. They, of course, will look at your photos, but may have already seen a couple of your pictures on social media or something. That's how they got to your website. What is it you want them to do? If it's not 100% clear, even though it might be obvious to us as photographers, people just will think, okay, yeah, so they have a quick look and maybe scroll for a second or two, and then they just go elsewhere because there's no guidance or intention as to what they should do next. So I think that is something to really get clear. The main reason to have a website is to generate inquiries and interest in your brand. So if you have 1,000 website visitors a month, you only have 25 inquiries a month, then that means you're leaving the other 975 people that come to your website have disappeared probably forever. So we want to try to increase the number of people that are interested enough to put their hand up and say, yes, I'd like to hear a bit more. And that is going to come in the form of call to action. So for us, for our wedding clients, we give away a really nice wedding planning guide, and that adds a lot of value. And a lot of our clients, most of our clients actually that book us, have already downloaded that before they've contacted us, so we know that it gets results, but also adds value. Even if people don't book us, it's just good sentiment to be giving something of value away without expectation of a sale, and leaves people with a good feeling. So those people, we get a lot more people take our wedding planning guide than book us, but it just means we have more people in our ecosystem. So it's more inquiries. More inquiries means more bookings. It is essentially a numbers game. You need to generate traffic, but from that traffic, you need to generate leads, which could come in the form of some kind of guide or free bit of content you've got, which requires an email address, and then that email address will go into your email list, and you can stay in contact with people that way. So call to action above the fold, which just means as soon as people land on your site, it's immediately clear, and the action you want them to take is also clear. So if you want to have a look at an example of that, although most websites that are done well in any industry have this, but you can look at ours if you're a photographer and just want to see an example of one. I'm not saying we've done it the best, it's just an example of what works for us. So there's many ways to do a call to action, so go and take a look at that at liamcollard.com. Second thing is, yeah, just try to simplify the options. Try to keep your website on point and don't try to appeal to everyone. The phrase that I say a lot to our members is, when you try to speak to everybody, you speak to no one. If you're trying to appeal to everyone, everyone thinks it's not for them, basically. Rather than widening the net, you actually make it feel like nothing that you offer is really specifically for the person that's looking. So if you're a photographer, try niching down and make it really clear to your ideal audience that you are the right photographer for them. And so there's no vagueness in what you offer, because you will lose them. So we have a creative agency that's nothing to do with wedding photography and service luxury hotel groups. Now, we don't have any of that stuff on our wedding website because it would be incredibly confusing for brides to go there and see that work as well. So we have a completely separate brand and business for that. And also Stam's just about to launch a fine art pet photography business. That will be a completely separate brand from our wedding work. And she's just going to have a simple website for that. I've got one for my portrait work as well, because it's just very clear what that website is for. So try to niche down and specialize in what you're doing. You can always create one-off landing pages. If you're a wedding photographer and want to do some family photography, you can create a one-off page that's not actually connected to your main website and drive traffic to that page for family stuff. but don't mix in everything on one website if you want to really attract your ideal audience and not be vague about what it is that you do. So I think that's helpful, because we were struggling with that at the beginning, or at the beginning of our career. And as soon as we got super specific and shared the kind of images that our ideal clients love, then we started to get really consistent bookings. Okay, and the third thing is, use social media that we were talking about before to generate interest in your brand and direct people to your website, or generate new leads through paid ads. That's what it should be for. So don't build your business on social media, but use it to post about recent work you've done. You can use it to share useful information for your target audience. You can use it to share your latest blog post and do some paid advertising on Facebook or Instagram to drive traffic to your website, where you'll then have your call to action. So it's a fantastic tool. If you're using it organically, it still works really well, especially Instagram, if you've got a good strategy in place to build an audience. But essentially, it should just be one tool which is helping generate interest in your brand, so people go to find out a bit more on your website, or maybe contact you directly through Messenger, at which point you can invite them to continue the conversation over email. And once you've got their email, then you can talk to them directly. The other reason it's so good to use it like that is that most of us don't have huge budgets for advertising. So if you're going to spend money on social media, the whole point of spending money is not to do brand awareness. Only brands like Coca-Cola can afford to do that. So if you're boosting posts just randomly to get more likes, that's not, I don't think, is a good investment of your money, because there's no way to track if it's getting you inquiries. What you want to be doing is using it to send people to a specific page on your website, where you then invite them to leave their information if they're interested in what you are offering. So the whole point of paid advertising should be to get leads and inquiries for your business in a direct way. If you don't have something set up that's doing that, then you sticking to organic strategies for now, I would say, is the best way to use it. But just don't build your business on it. You want social media to lead to your website, not be your website, 100%. Because if Facebook do change things again tomorrow, we personally have more engagement on our brand on Facebook than Instagram, so we focus more on that. But we're not completely at the whims of Facebook, because we're consistently generating leads, inquiries, and interest in our brand, and have a pretty large email list where we stay in contact with useful content with our ideal audience, and that generates business and referrals, etc. So just be careful how and what you use it for. Fantastic tool, but don't build everything on it. Okay. So anyway, I hope that's been helpful for you guys. This is the best way you can utilize those three things, I think. So call to action, simplify your options, and use social media to generate leads and interest in your brand, rather than building your brand on it. Okay, guys, that's all we have for this week. I'll do my best to answer any questions you might have had in the comments afterwards. The link to our Facebook group, I see Stam has already put in there for us. So for us, that's a good night from us here in Bangkok. Hope you all have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.